What up, though? It's your brother Mike X, and welcome to another episode of 17 Winners Podcast. I ain't gonna act like I ain't gonna say it again. Every time, it's a special episode, right? I'm having a special conversation with some special brothers today, and I want to say not just the responsibility, but I think I value this that much more, so I wanted to land this conversation on my podcast and not any other platform, and that's the conversation of what the landscape of criminal legal work in 2026 looks like, where the movement is going. And I couldn't just have that conversation with anybody. I had to have a conversation with brothers that I consider pillars in the movement and pillars in what is happening in criminal legal work. So y'all welcome Brother Dr. Yusef Bunchy Shakur and the brother, I ain't gonna do you like that, Tony Gant.
A.K.A. T. Gant.
I knew he was gonna throw the nickname on there, A.K.A. T. Gant.
Tony.
No, but y'all know the brother Tony Gant as a lobbyist, somebody who has been doing this for about 10 years strong plus.
Not entirely, but
not entirely, but you've been working for a long time,
yes, sir.
brother.
Yes,
and you
sir.
one of the OGs. I look to you as one of my OGs and one of my mentors in this space.
I appreciate that.
Not
all OGs got gray hair, good brother.
I was just going to say, and of course, I would be remiss not to say the same about my brother,
Absolutely.
Dr. Bunchy Shakur. I watched you from afar, and when I finally was able to get a chance to meet you, the connection was instant. So I appreciate both of y'all brothers taking the time out of y'all busy schedules and coming down here, as well as like traveling, because I know y'all came from out of town to get here today.
Well, it's only one. I came from Detroit. He was already here.
Can I get some credit? The brother was giving me credit.
Yeah,
brother,
man.
Thank you for the credit, brother. I did have to travel to get here.
He still had to drive his car. Come on, brother.
He didn't come a long distance, man. He called me like, "Where you at?" I'm on the road already, bro. I'll see you when you get here.
All right.
That's
right.
Mr. T. Cat for you, though.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I guess to get started a little bit, I want to give the both of y'all the opportunity to kind of introduce yourselves. I know I gave you a light introduction, but you brothers are a lot heavier than that. And usually when I'm doing a podcast, it's not a conversation on this level. I usually am just talking to you about you and your personal life. But and we're going to do that, right? Eventually, y'all brothers are going to give me the opportunity to have that conversation. But right now, I want to at least allow my listeners and my viewers to get the chance to learn a little bit about the both of you and where you came from and why y'all why y'all should be in this position when we're having this conversation. So, Dr. Bunchy Shakur.
Oh, man, niggas gonna go first for me. What up, though? Again, my name is Dr. Yusef Bunchy Shakur. I am from Detroit. Related to the subject matter, I did nine years in for a crime I didn't commit. January 3rd, I'll be home 25 years. I'll just, as we get into the conversation, I'll just start here. And when I came home, where we at now was never part of the topic. Mass incarceration was not a pre-Donna conversation. I think this is at the heels of the real OG, Joe Williams. A lot of work that he was doing was kind of going through a lot of different roller coasters, just trying to find out who he was in this space. So, me just doing what I do, I found my fitting in this space, but it's been very interesting, plus the last 25 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Definitely. And I'm not. I'm gonna say it any day. Anyway, what up, though? I ain't from Detroit, but I'm a co-opted, and I'm gonna go behind the brother, Dr. Shakur, and definitely shout out to Joe Williams. Definitely the brother was around when I first started in this work. He was around there, kind of helping me out. So my name is Tony Gant, formerly incarcerated as well. I guess that's kind of our through line. I did 20 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. May of 2025 was 10 years home. So a little bit over 10 years that I've been home. I've only been working in the space probably seven years. Took a little while to get to the space. I'm excited about the conversation. I'm not saying I know all the answers to all your questions, sir, but I'm definitely I got Dr. Shakur here to help. Like some of the historical framing, I think is important as we start thinking about, okay, what does 2026 look like, and also like how, like where we are now versus where we were when I first came into space and where we were 5 years ago. I think all those points need to be made as we start talking about what does it look like for 2026.
Agreed, 100%, brother. That was a perfect segue because that is essentially my first question for, I guess, all of us. Either one of y'all want to jump in, however. What did the landscape look like for you when you got here? I'll start and say, I know I came home when you did, Tony, and there was not much here for me. I left Michigan. I paroled to Lansing. I stayed home about 90 days in Lansing, and then I transitioned my parole to Dallas, Texas. I stayed in Dallas for about 5 years before I came back to Michigan. So a lot happened in the time that I was away. What did it look? What was the landscape then? What did it look like for you when you first jumped in?
I guess since I've been home the longest, I
think you should. Right,
You're right.
Ooh. You know, when I come home, it's temporary jobs, up the ass. You know, and you getting those jobs, and you're showing that you're a hard worker, and you know you're not that famous question. Have you ever been convicted? And you're afraid to answer that question, but they're telling how qualified you are as a worker. But you know, when you get to your 90 days, they're we gotta let you go because you didn't answer that question. But you've been telling me I'm a hard worker. It was all over the place. I mean, I remember vividly, you know, folks was, if you was a assaulted fender, you know, the job market wasn't necessarily there for you, and they was telling you like, okay, you got to just figure it out. But if you're a non-offender type of person, we might can help you. And it was like, hey, what do you mean? Like, shit, incarceration is incarceration. How do you divide this up and things? And this was other people was telling us. I mean, you know, the language. I think returning citizen was a term that was kind of being, you know, shuffled around. You know, the halfway house. You know, folks being not the halfway house of the MDOC, but the halfway house of folks was like reshuffling out here. Everybody buying up houses, churches, and you put 10, 12 motherfuckers in a one bedroom house and shit, making it do what it do, and you know you cash in. So it was just it was a mess. To be honest with you, and just in terms of, you know, advocacy, it was that was on the back burner. Obviously, you had some. I mean, a lot of work that was being done out the churches, the mosques, to some degree, but in terms of like actual organizations, it wasn't until Hope helping our prisoners elevate. I think that may have been one of the first grassroots organizations that was born in Detroit. It was started by, you know, community people informing the incarcerated folks, which was about sending books back in as a means to transformation, and then it shifted to some other stuff. But it was, you know, a process of more folks was coming home, more folks was getting involved. I mean, I know myself, I was continuing to get in, as I was evolving and growing and going through these different things. It opened up more doors and avenues for what advocacy, what organizing was looking like.
Wow. Okay, and that's 25.
You said 25 years ago, so that was
20.
2000.
Yeah, that's right.
That was right during Truth and Sentencing time. And
TSI was 1998. 1998.
Yeah, let's just say 2000. Like this,
right.
This is the beginning. This is the last year of 2000.
Yeah.
Wow. And so.
Oh, let me add too. I mean, during that time, a lot of guys are coming home, but not to the numbers that we have now.
Right. I was just going to say, that was literally the beginning of compounding a bunch of people, because I got a 358 number.
Yeah, 223. So you have most guys that were coming home from 10 to 15, 12, not what we have now, to 20 to 30 and to 40 years and stuff.
Right. And I think before, just to put a pin in that, like, I think the folks we see coming home now with decades in is a result of that, though. Like, because we started giving out these really long sentences, right? And so we see people coming home now after serving like insane amount of time. But yeah, so obviously when I came home, I have no idea what the nonprofit sector looked like or what our space looked like in 2015. I just wasn't connected. My primary concern was getting a job. And similar to what you were saying here in Lansing, I couldn't find a job. The temp services even more so were like, absolutely not. One, you got a violent offense. Two, you're still on parole. Come back and see us after you get off parole. End up going to a place called Labor Ready. I think it's called People Ready now.
People
right?
Ready now, yeah.
Back then, you would go in and you would sign in every day, and you would just kind of sit and hope you get something.
You had to get there a certain
early in the morning. Yeah, you sit and you wait, and that's what I did. Job for 2 days, job for a week, job for 2 weeks, right? And that was my only way to really put money in my pocket and
keep you from get back in the streets.
Yep. And so I did that for a while until those temp jobs ended up landing into a long-term temp, and then it landed into an actual employment opportunity at Quality Dairy. And so once I actually got into space, and that's Kevin Harris, he was working as a legislative director for a House rep, and we connected because we knew each other before I went in, and he told me to come down to the office, and so I went down to his office, the rep's office, and got a chance to really talk to him, and he was talking about Nation Outside, right?
Okay.
And the work he was doing with Nation Outside, and he wanted me to do some work in Jackson, and that's how I had no idea about the space at all. So I would say this was probably maybe 2017. A couple years. I had been home at least a couple of years before I talked to Kevin really about this Nation Outside thing that he was working on.
Okay, so the way I saw it from afar, it looked like you just came home and got right into it. Like, see, Tony already
I got right into working and cutting grass. I was doing my lawn care thing. Yep. So
yes,
I got
sir.
right into that. Yeah.
Okay. Kind of a sidebar question, but I feel like it's relevant because it came out of something that Dr. Shakur said. Mass incarceration versus independent choice. Right? Let it land. So mass incarceration, the system, versus Lil Ray be just doing bad shit. Where does that reconcile at? I know it's not on the subject, but I ask because I feel like that is becoming conflated. People are saying, ways to, you need to get yourself together in the penitentiary versus the fact that mass incarceration is a thing.
So you go first, bro. You go first.
I'm laughing because whoever said that they ain't been in the penitentiary.
They have.
Just some, yeah.
The reality there is no getting yourself together in the penitentiary, right? The idea of rehabilitation is not what we think it is. Even though now they're trying to paint that picture today more than 20, 30 years ago. The benefit of living in a just society is that we're accountable to every member of our society. That little Ray is not someone that just falls to the crack, who just happens to pick up a dope sack, who happens to pick up a gun and becomes little Ray, right? The society takes accountability for him. Unfortunately, we don't live in a just society. Unfortunately, we live in a racist society. That racist society paints little Ray as a menace. And we buy into that narrative. And as we buy into that narrative, we buy into as prison as an outlet, as a solution. But if we are predicating solution based on prison, we failed. That is my answer to that question.
Appreciate that.
And as we'll see, Dr. Shakur has some very strong and passionate views on certain subjects. What I'll say about it sounds like you're talking about kind of like individual responsibility versus and that's kind of what we see. I guess what I'll say, like as we talk about, and I'll take a page from and kind of echo some of the things that.
Oh shit, the brother, he on my side today. Oh,
there we go.
Mr. T. Gant, because you know he gave the disclaimer. The brother got some passions.
That was not a disclaimer.
I was let you know.
That was a disclaimer.
If you say some wild shit, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
That is not. Let me anyway. I want to echo.
Okay, folks, Mr. T. Gant.
I want to echo. I really do want to echo and kind of level set. One, as we look at the Michigan prison population, what we've seen for decades is that 50 to 51% of the prison population is black, and I think you got to start there as one of the. If we're talking about how Lil Ray Ray is, and we're calling Lil Ray Ray like this bad seed, I guess, and a menace, as Dr. Shakur talked about.
This was society.
That's what society.
Yes,
and for folks that know me personally, like I'm dealing with this like personally right now with my son, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
we do see society labeling our children in certain ways, so it's easier later on to give our children these insane sentences, and we see these insane sentences show up in who's in prison versus what the actual population is in the state. That disparity has been there for a very long time, right?
Sir.
We see that, not only do we see the disparity in who's in prison, we see the disparity in how people are sentenced. We see the disparity inside prison as to who goes to the hole and how long they stay in the hole. These racial disparities still show up, even in a prison system that's 50% black. It's still way over that goes, I want to say up to 80% that go to segregation, right? So we see these racial disparities constantly play themselves out. So if we're saying that Ray Ray is somehow responsible by himself and we take society off the hook, I have a problem with that. I have a problem anytime we place all the onus on the individual when we know all the systematic barriers that are in place. And so that goes to the people that are in prison that we may say should be doing this and this and this, so they're prepared to get out, and we remove any type of responsibility of the people that are holding their captors, right? Because their captors have some responsibility too.
For sure. I appreciate that.
Was that okay?
Yeah.
Was that okay?
That was great. I would just like to add then. So
Okay.
I mean, one of the policymakers, he said 80% over 50% of people in prison are black, or brown folks. Over 50% of the folks who are governing are white. Over 50% of the folks who are making the policies are white, which adds on to your point of the racial disparity that we see. If we back this train up and we go from this thing from late 70s to middle 80s, there's only 3 prisons, maybe 4 in Michigan.
Right.
I repeat, there's only up to
4
prisons
What was
in
it, Marquette,
Jackson.
MTU might have been. Was MTU around?
I don't think MTU. No, MTU was not around.
My granddad went to Marquette.
Maybe the one.
Riverside.
It probably Riverside.
Okay.
But
He wasn't that. You right?
yeah, it's only about 4 or 5 prisons. But we go from the 87 up. It goes from 4 to 5 prisons to almost 40 prisons.
Yep.
What cities are they pulling from? Detroit, Lansing, Battle Creek, Jackson,
Flint,
all predominantly black areas. That becomes the prison boom.
Yeah.
To your point,
for sure, 100%. I appreciate level setting that, because that's something that I've been kind of standing on the soapbox about, and I feel like the implication that a program is supposed to change the dynamic, that there's a systemic level to this thing, is
I think it's
hypocritical.
lazy. I think it's lazy.
Yeah.
I think it's us looking for magic bullets for very complex problems.
Right.
and it's just buying to stereotypical, stigmatized, racist narratives.
But to your point that they ain't been to the penitentiary, I'm talking about motherfuckers that done actually walked the halls. Be talking about, because this program saved me. Like, nigga, no it didn't. Like, the program may have given you some tools. It may have helped you. It may have even given you, like, an avenue to express, right? But, like, you don't get well in a cell. the reality is those of us who are able to achieve these certain levels where people look at us like we're special, we're the special ones. We're not the rule. We're the exception to the rule. The actual rule is the actual other 9 out of 10 of us are in there, like being traumatized, like repeatedly adding more and more trauma on top of lack of education, on top of a lack of access. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so let's break that down. What you just said.
Okay.
Prisons are nothing but a microcosm of the streets. It's the same way as dope on the streets is dope in prison.
For sure.
There's guns in prison, but there's knives in prison. There's locks in prison. Like the same behavior, the same mentality. Like most people don't. We see it in movies, but movies glamorize. Like not everybody getting stabbed every day.
Right.
Not everybody getting knocked upside the head. However, and then also every prison is not different. MR is different. Well, at the time when I was there, it was different than MTU. MTU was different than Muskegon, right?
Like literally going to new cities.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But also we know we are affiliated with different religious groups, right? Depending on what religious group, how they was operating, depending on the leadership. But also what's a constant through all of that though is the guards. Yep. You can't do nothing in the prison without guards, right? Good or indifferent, right? And you know, when we fast forward it, you know, I don't know if you guys heard, like from me in particular, in Michigan, you know, the gangs are running the prisons now. Their presence
that's a whole nother
that,
conversation we'll have to have.
But that was at the birth.
That was deliberate, though.
I'm about to get
that comes from STG. That was a deliberate policy decision by MDOC to take the leadership away from Melanix, the Moors, and an NOI. And it's kind of like what they did in Iraq when they took
But I need you to say that in a way for these listeners to get what you're saying. Why was it deliberate? Why is it better to have the gangs run the prison than the Moor Scientific American, the Nation of Islam, the Melanix, Islam Powers Rising Sun, and the Sunni Muslim? Why is it better? Or for
all of
the
them
administration
have the goal and objective of rising our mental and spiritual level.
We want to keep niggas being niggas.
Yep.
Keep us stabbing each other. Keep us doing dope.
Because if the gangs is leading it, then we just gonna keep being niggas.
I even wrote a paper on this with Dr. Kobina, like saying, like trying to show, like the problem was for me, and I don't know if I think we might be off topic, but the problem was that the DOC attacked religious organizations whose constitutions and charters profess to do good. And in doing so, they allowed the rise of folk whose literal constitution is we go do everything we can to do bad. Like that's literally what they're standing on.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
No, you're on point. You're on point.
I mean, only thing I was all I'm gonna add, we're remiss if we don't add. Going back to your original question of personal accountability, what we contribute as organizations, other failure leadership, and this is an individual thing where every individual, no matter who you are in terms of lust for power, lust for greed, lust for manipulation, and these things open up the floodgates for what you just described. This was not the norm for all the organizations, but there was aspects of these type of behaviors that they was able to concentrate in on and exploit that and make that the overall narrative to be able to bring in STG, which is security threat group. And if you was a security threat group person, you was immediately taken to the hole. You can be immediately put in the hole for up to 5, 6, 7 years, but they wouldn't even fund
no ticket.
Yeah, no ticket. You're pretty much under surveillance for just whenever, right? But then what they did with the Melanix, they took leadership, took motherfuckers that was doing state time and sent their ass to Fed joints.
That's crazy.
I mean, so what is this? This is butt breaking. This is what we say when slavery existed, where it says neither servitude
or involuntary, neither slavery
or involuntary solitude
shall exist except for a punishment of a crime. This is why we say that slavery was illegal. Right, because it was legitimized through this amendment, the 13th Amendment, and you see the practice, you see the behavior, which was controlling. And when we talk about Willie Lynch, this is a practice of that, the divide and conquer, things that we contributed to, but we contributed to was we assume every brother that goes to prison is going to be Malcolm X. That's not the case.
It's not the case.
It's not the case. That goes to your point, deception. Because again, because one guys reading, but not everybody reading
The
all
same
about Malcolm
books.
X.
Exactly. Motherfucker sitting there reading 10 years reading stupid books.
Well, I don't want to call.
shit that
I
you
don't want to
already
call
done
any
did.
book stupid.
Read
I
down.
feel
They
you,
read
right?
down the Goins, and what's down the Goins?
So like, listen, I can read Donald Goins and I can take that for game. I'm talking about shit that you done
But
like.
even that though, right? I mean, for a motherfucker in the street, ain't going out the street, and all I'm being reinforced those
you just
values.
reinforcing them values. for sure.
Because again, what you and I know, being there, what's up, baby? How did
Yeah, no, for sure.
when we get on that corner, baby? When we, that's just keeping us alive.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And to that point, and when I was I called you, right? Because I had just went to prison back to prison.
Clarify that.
For my first time after being home.
He was invited back in.
I was invited back in. Yeah.
Okay,
go back to prison.
bro. You went back. What
He
you
was
mean
invited
you
back
went
in as a speaker.
Okay.
As a
All right,
representative.
all
right.
T. Gant went back in as a
Brother, stop saying
representative.
T-Cat. Stop saying that, brother. People start saying. One of the things I'm on a level set to echo it. When I was talking to folk, I was talking about like when I knew I had like the light bulb came on is when I stopped having tolerance when we would walk the back 40 and the conversation would get stupid. And you would start talking to me about how you go get the bag and you like 40 something, and I'm like, for real, like this to play, for real? Like okay, we gonna stop.
You on your 20th bit? You're going 19 on 20th bit,
right? You still
Man.
talking about you finna go get the bag? Okay, all right, but so, yeah, I just wanted to echo that. Yeah, I feel you. Definitely.
But so even them, and I'm gonna get off of that after this. But like even those people, those brothers who you be walking the yard. And you looking at him like, bro, this sounds stupid. It don't sound stupid to you? That brother, them 3-4 times he done been to the joint, done broken him a little bit more every time. A little bit more of his confidence has left him. Every time he was able to get out there, because most of the time a guy get out the joint, he gonna try to shoot his shot. All right, I'm gonna try to do right for a minute. I'm gonna try to get off this probation or parole at least. Right? And then you go and this door is slammed on you. Mind you, we talking about from the time the brother Yusef started 25 years ago when I went to prison, because that's literally the year that I went to prison in 2000. From that time until about, 2011, all we heard was tough on crime. All we heard was probation officers sending the motherfucker back
Zero
on
tolerance.
I was just
Zero
gonna say zero tolerance. Like, so even I can imagine how those brothers who had been out and came back when they got out and tried to do things and doors were slammed on them and violations and man, I'm not even gonna try no more. I'm just gonna try to figure out how to do this shit the best I can. Cause trying to do right don't even make sense based on what they seen in front of them in real time. But with that said, I don't think that there's a such thing as off subject because we're talking about our lived experience, and this is 17 Winners Podcast. But to kind of pull us back towards what the landscape looks like, I do want to ask, based on all that we've talked about so far, what do you see now in the landscape 2025, 2026 when you're looking out versus when you got in? As far as like hope, actual boots on the ground, what you're seeing, like just from your perspective, what do you have any thoughts that you would like to give on what you see about in this landscape right now?
Go ahead, Mr. T-Gant.
Mind you, I want to preface that with the fact that I have been in organized advocacy for about a year and some change, right? I got out the penitentiary and I, like y'all, couldn't leave my brothers behind that I had left in there. So I was doing things on my own in my own silo, but there was no connection to the movement that we see these days.
It's ideal of a movement.
Or the ideal of a movement that we're building towards, right? And even that statement, speak to that a little bit more, like where we are compared to.
Brother's gonna speak passionately and. Go ahead, Mr. Gant.
I guess I think there are more of us in the nonprofit space than there was in 2017. There are a lot more of us, a lot more formerly incarcerated leaders, a lot more formerly incarcerated folk that are clear, articulate, taking leadership positions across the sector. That gives me hope, right? Because, and not only does that give me hope, I see like the folks that are coming out eager to get into this space in some kind of way, right? Eager to sometimes volunteer, like yourself, volunteering, like trying to figure it out. And so I think that is something that we can definitely have some hope about, that while we're not at the ideal, we're definitely.
Excited that look.
Yeah,
Okay. I got you. I got you when you're done. Come on.
We're not at the ideal, right? But we're definitely moving towards it. And I'll say we're moving towards it at a pretty rapid clip if we look over the last 25 years, like over this last 6, 7, 8. I mean, the growth in the sector has been pretty amazing, right? I think there's a lot more to do. I don't know if I think we'll get into like what it looks like in the next couple of years to the extent we can prophesize that. But I'm hopeful that we got a lot of folks coming out of the system and a lot of folks willing to get into this work and meaningfully contribute in any way they can. So I think I'm hopeful about that.
Man, he gave that awesome consultant answer. I ain't want to say the other stuff. The ultimate consultant answer. Man, look,
brother, go.
Take my glasses off to answer this
Okay.
question.
Okay.
I'm gonna use this analogy.
Okay.
The audience gonna have to catch up. So again, we all in prison, right? Mm-hmm. We all was young enough. You went to Riverside. You went to Riverside. Go to Riverside, and said we all landed MR or MTU, right?
MR.
MR. You know, we landed MR. We come out the first yard. We see a bunch of guys some guys we grew up with. You know, all right, bam. Then we come out next week. Everybody Melanics, everybody Mo's, everybody Nation Islam. And you're like, how did that happen? Because you just told me last week you're gonna be a nigga for life. You told me last week you can't wait to get out to get that bag again, right? Not to say guys can't change, but and some of these motherfuckers, like, is you there for protection? Mm-hmm. Do you really know what you know? Mm-hmm. You know, and then also on the other end, recruitment. We know a lot of these guys are recruiting guys. The more the mass numbers you have, the more stronger you look. Mm-hmm. Right. So in that analogy that I'm trying to point out is when you now, because I love where you ended. It's so many of us.
I caught it. It landed just now.
Bet. Thank you. It's so many of us like, damn, where has been the process? Where has been the development? Let me preface, I'd rather see guys hustle on this side than on the street side, right? But overall, it's still damaging because guys are coming home and they just filling up spaces. There's no coordination. There's no connectivity. And I'm framing that because we all don't have to get along. There has not to be like one source space, a solid space that we all have to. I'm not saying that. I mean, I'd be illusional to even think that type of shit. But, and I mean, like, when, what's the sister who works in up in Washington, the assistant attorney, the district attorney?
Victoria Burton Harris.
So when she runs for the prosecutor, you have a group of us who sides with
her,
not her,
Kim
Worthy.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, okay.
Openly,
now,
sides.
Well, she gonna run again, but go.
No, my point is that it further shows the disconnect that we have. Like again,
she dope.
Where again we can disagree, but we couldn't even disagree behind closed doors.
Right.
Again, and we've been on the yard. Right, and we seen the same disagreement, which led to knife fightings, which led to it's thick on the yard.
Right,
the Melanics and the Moles at it,
yeah.
Or the Melanics and the Nation at it, and if the match go, baby,
it's gonna blow this thing up. Yeah,
and that's what and like you see the same behavior patterns.
Yes, sir.
Out there, and I think because we have not created a structure, and I'm gonna land it here. And I've said this over 10 years ago, which was you look at the mutants, right? That analogy around, or I use this analogy around the mutants. Formerly incarcerated, that's what we are. We're a mutant population. But because over in the early part, since we're going to start from the 2000s, there's been the formulation of the X-Men.
Okay.
The most articulate, the most bright of us. And they have been uplifted as the group. That has damaged us because we have never been able to galvanize, because there's more of us who are less articulate, who are less pretty, and et cetera.
Yes, sir.
And we have never been able to figure out how to galvanize them. That has been our base.
I 100% agree with you. That has been my soapbox for the last couple of months in every meeting. Even when we're talking about like narratives, keep on putting the camera on me as an example of this is what a changed life could look like. It's not a fair example because I would have excelled in any place you would have put me because I am a different level of person. I believe you would have excelled anywhere in life had you been able to get the access to the resources and things. The reason why we went to prison and were able to excel through that trauma or through that experience was because we were the X-Men. Those, what the brother, I can't even remember the brother name, this was it not Booker T. Washington, the talented 10th.
W.
Du
Du
Bois.
Bois.
W.E.B. Du
Du
Bois, the one that came up with that. Like, I think we represent that group. So putting me up on the camera as the example of what change could look like is not a fair representation because there's so many who went to prison reading at a third grade level. I was reading at a college level in 6th, 7th grade. My mama did that. So like it's I had the ability to make the moves and changes that others didn't necessarily have.
So let me add to your point, right? So, and it's some other names I don't know, but I'm just gonna name these, and if there's some others, just please share. We already mentioned Joe Williams, right? Joe Williams was a trendsetter.
Yeah.
Raphael B. Johnson becomes a trendsetter. Yusef Bunchy Shakur, he becomes a trendsetter. Shaka Senghor, he becomes a trendsetter. There's a couple other, right? But we know for a fact, most folks are either I'm trying to be like Raphael, I'm trying to be like Joe Williams, I'm trying to be like Yusef, I'm trying to be like Shaka. Those who are getting these information
So
back.
the archetypes.
Yeah,
The archetypes,
but these are individual paths, pathways. There's no collectivity to any of these things, and I'm not saying what we've been able to do has been is wrong from an individual. That's great, but in terms of the population, it was damaging because where's the end game?
Right.
And also, I can't be mad at somebody who's sitting in prison. Like, you in the news, and you're like, man, the guy, he was a former gang member, co-founded a gang, and here he earned a PhD. Like, oh, that's inspiration. Like, I can't be mad at that. But I'm mad at is like the conversation. You're not like, he comes home. No, we can't hire him. She comes home. We have no house for them. Like you already mentioned, every year they're constantly talking about being tough on crime. That tough on crime is impacting our community. We have not created a counter narrative by no means besides the fact that we are an inspirational story.
Right.
That's not a counter fucking narrative.
I agree. I ain't mad at that at
You're
all.
looking perplexed over there, brother.
Listen. And so I'm not gonna let y'all box me in as like the defender of the movement.
I'm digging at you, man.
But I do like I take all those points that you both are making, and it's always something. It's a knife kind of that cuts both ways. One, we need the narrative work to inspire the change we need to see, but oftentimes the narrative work does highlight what is the exception instead of what the norm is, which is problematic. But those whether you believe it or not, your story inspires change. Your story inspires change. So we have to find a way to use those narratives to inspire, especially the policy change we need to see. at state and local government, even at the federal level, right? If we don't have those exceptions, then that narrative that we hear, that tough on crime narrative, is the only narrative. It's still the prevailing narrative, but there's not even another narrative that change is possible, that folks that are incarcerated can change, or people that have committed mistakes can change if we don't have these exceptional stories. So we need the exceptional stories, unfortunately.
I don't disagree with that either.
I don't disagree, but the point of it is, if we don't have organizational structure along with infrastructure within the organizational structure, we just becomes a story. We just become a poster story that gets fucked, and fucked. Sometimes with condoms.
So this is for sure not going to be a clip part of this episode.
Sometimes without condoms.
Okay.
I'm being extreme for this point.
But you're not wrong. I think this also speaks into some of the work that I've been doing personally when it comes to the formerly incarcerated caucus. I would like to know, I guess, your thoughts on that, because I agree that we need to be building power. And I also agree that just because you black or just because you formerly incarcerated does not mean that we are monolithic and that we have to all be on the same exact policy thing. But I do believe that if we all, so I personally am working on making sure that when I present to the formerly incarcerated caucus people that I've selected as like the first conversation, I think where I have found the real middle ground is in our leadership development and our representation. I think if we can get there, right, and get some level of agreement there, and the next steps into that, like what that looks like as far as getting us trained, having some level of a vetting process as far as how we build out this movement. That's a strategy that I consider to be a valid strategy in order to build our power for formerly incarcerated. I'm wondering what emerging strategies y'all are thinking about, or hell, Dr. Shakur, you sound like you have a plan for how to get this together. Do you have a plan or opinion for how to make,
I don't know about plan, but I do have some thoughts. Again, like me take my executive director hat off, right, and just speak directly from the population.
Yes, sir.
And I think from the population is how do we allow create space for folks who are living very intense lives. And that intensity is around, how do I reconnect with my family? How do I be a parent? How do I get a job? The bus system is different than 30 years. Like, all these things are all coming at one time, and then say I'm a dude or woman. I ain't had nothing trying to get me some. Like this is the human experience. And then on top of that, everything that you just said, right? Mm-hmm. Intellectually wise, I get it. Human wise, I want to do it, but I'm being pulled in all these different directions. Right. So we have to first address the human component of it. We can't address all of it, but we can begin to minimize some of those factors. Because again, you're right. We all have some level of talent and skills. And particularly, if you was a high proficient criminal, that means you can be a high proficient leader.
It's transferable. All those skills are transferable.
Can we all agree to that?
Yes, sir. Yes,
but
sir.
we have to figure out the structure, right? And this is where, and we have to begin to create the value system. Because also the worst thing that we do in any person is to give them false hope or to abuse their hope. Yes, and there's been a little bit of both. So there's zero in. So like using Nation Outside, when Nation Outside got rid of Ashley Golden. Whether we agree or disagree.
Talk through it.
It damaged us internally. It split us, right? And particularly for me, I was more upset because it was us that did it. Like, again, I don't know what was the factors, right? What I would have liked to see from us a better way. Even if she deserved to be fired or let go, it was a better way that could have happened. And I'll interject this in this conversation. That drew lines. That further divided us.
Yeah.
It's still there.
The line is still there.
You know, because if we know what the system will do to us and is doing to us, and so if someone looks like us, from us, and this is what they're doing, so why would I want to be a part of some shit like that? That's rhetorical, but I'm saying those are some of the things that we have to address, and that requires confidence, that requires trust. And so again, going back to the analogy, talking about we all come to the yard and we all a line of coordination, whatever, right? You know, we all was recruited into one of these groups. And we all at one point, man, fuck them motherfuckers. They some crazy ass motherfuckers, right? But at some point they win you over. But it was they break down and ultimately trust. Again, you know, because you go into service when you first go, you know, they kind of crazy. But you need trust, you need comfortability, because that's the first thing. Again, we're in the street. Like, even though we all done dumb stuff, we were smart as hell. Like, I didn't run up and do some dumb shit with some dumb motherfuckers. I had questions. I had to know some things and saying. So again, those are transferable too. And people have questions.
Yes,
Do we have the answers?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was.
I think when we think about like all the human needs that people have, right, when they're released, and I part of that is us maybe level setting that trying to grab people as soon as they come home and bring them into this work and into this movement is maybe not be the wisest thing. Right?
And I said that as soon as I got in.
That's my point I'm making.
Okay.
As soon as I got in, I looked around at the landscape like, wait a minute. Hold on. It took me at least 3 years just to learn how to be like a regular person again. Right? Like, and that's not necessarily saying overcoming all of the reentry challenges. That's just like getting used to, bills come every month. You know what I'm saying? Like, that type of shit, right?
Right.
I
So like,
need some food in the refrigerator.
yeah.
gas in the car.
Oh my God, gas in the car. We ain't gonna talk about reentry challenges on this episode. Like, but no, for real, it's like jumping into this movement and being asked to get into in-depth conversations and strategy talk and like policy work and also try to figure out how to be a person is a lot. And that's one of the buffers that needs to be brought into, I believe, into the forefront of the conversation. Is like, come on, bro. I want you to get money. I don't want you to have to come out and go work in a factory for years either and get beat up.
Right.
And I'm gonna take your point and flip it a little bit, right? We've lost a lot of lives, right? And some of those where people had, because of what you just said, they in the movement, so to speak, working in nonprofits, but it ain't moving fast enough, and they dipping and dabbing back on the other side, which leading them going back to prison, which leading them getting killed at gas stations and things.
Yes, sir.
And no, I'm not condemning anybody, but again, these are the lack of honest conversation that we're not having to be able to design a plan with an end goal in mind that's bringing as many of us as we can towards a common goal.
You're not wrong.
Ooh.
That one took a breather.
Okay.
That one took a breather from all of us, right?
Okay.
What policy fights should we be talking about? Because
Mr. Gant?
He ain't even finished the question.
Right.
That's crazy.
Because those were some interesting points that you made, and I actually just had to make a note because this might be something that needs to be talked about on like a real conversation. And hell, most of the time I think we don't get to have these real conversations because people be scared of them, and I don't be scared of that shit. So we might be having these couple of conversations soon on the podcast. But that being said, though, what things should we be paying attention to? I asked that because I just read an article with Stephanie Chang and Heidi Washington talking about elderly prisoners and what the MDOC is doing to adapt. And what was deep to me is they mentioned that Stephanie Chang was presenting or had presented legislation, second look legislation. But the way they articulated was that the legislation was for nonviolent offenders who had served 10 years or more. There's no such thing as nonviolent offenders serving 10 years or more in Michigan Department of Corrections. The only way you are a nonviolent offender serving 10 years or more is if you did some shit in prison to get some more time. You can't get sentenced to more than 10 years as a nonviolent. There's no criminal case that has you can get a 10-year minimum sentence. So like, because they mislead with that type of stuff inside of media, also the reason why I feel like 17 Winters is important. But when we're looking at that type of a landscape where the only way they want to let things through is if we put that type of tint on it. It's going to be nonviolent offenders and whatever. What should we be doing policy-wise? Should we be like jumping on these bandwagons? And I'm asking from a personal perspective, not from like my professional. What policies matter? What things should we be on?
So I think first, I'm not sure how, and I'll have to do some digging, whether or not you could still get 10 years for drug offenses. I think you probably can, depending on the amount. And they consider drug offenses nonviolent, right? And so usually when they're talking about nonviolent, they're talking about drug offenses and theft and anything where nobody, even though unfortunately like a firearm conviction in Michigan is considered a violent conviction. So it's right, you just possess a firearm and it's kind of considered violent.
I think the drug conviction you're talking about, I don't think you can get the 10 no more.
You can't get the 10 for a burn?
I don't think you can get the 650 no more. I don't think it's...
well, I know that you won't get to life, but...
the 10?
Yeah,
you think it's 10 for the 650?
I don't know if it's a mandatory 10, but I imagine you're not going to get a slap on the wrist if... I would advise folk to not try that. Don't get. I don't think
that might be the one.
That
might be the one.
I think you're gonna end up with some time behind that. But as far as like if we think about nonviolent offenses and the way they kind of use that terminology, where we are now, we're bumping up against the reality of one. We've seen the MDOC decrease its population.
Did they really?
We've seen the MDOC
Did they really
decrease its population and close prisons, and we're bumping up at this point. And I'm brother Shakur, Dr. Shakur, I do want you to jump in. What we're bumping up against now is because of that. The people we have in prison now are the people that are serving long sentences. The bulk of folk that are serving very long sentences, and so we're gonna that nonviolent narrative is bumping up against the reality of the people we put in prison for a very long time, and that's where second look comes into play. Like, there's no way if the plan is to continue to reduce the population, you can't reduce it if you're not going to talk about these crimes, right? These violent crimes that the general public is afraid of, right? I don't think we can get there without really talking about those type of crimes that we don't want to give people forgiveness for, or we don't want to see them get out of prison. We're going to have to get to those type of cases where we're going to need a governor that's willing to commute a sentence of a murderer, right? Like, it's going to have to happen. Or if we can't do that, then we're going to need legislation where those folks have a chance of getting out of prison. Otherwise, our population it's not going down. It may even go up.
Right.
Yeah, if we can't get to those type of offenses. Go ahead, though, brother.
Another option.
If
we if we are able to say organize, man, and get 100,000 people across the state.
Okay.
Strong. Where we going to we marching in front of the governor's office, showing up at the governor's house. Like, this ain't just Gant, this ain't just Yusef, this ain't Mike individually. Mm-hmm. Like, we know at the end of the day, Stephanie, there's no shot at Stephanie.
No.
Just using an example, Stephanie Chains and whoever in blue, they see people of power, they begin to rethink question what they, and I think that's where, until we're able to galvanize that, we'll always be from a disadvantage. And then the question is also who from our population are really authentically being representing us in these spaces for these conversations. Now, what I agree is like we have to be sophisticated, right? There's some like language that they have to work. So that now I get it. I don't agree with that shit. But until we can pull our cavalry, that's what they're going to present to us, and we have nothing to challenge that because besides we know it's some bullshit, right? So that's I'm joking. Like, that we know what the MDLC has always done was reshuffle the deck and flip the narrative because they've never been totally looked into because it's all on the same team. And so until we're able to galvanize ourselves and build a strong power base, like, so I think for me, one of the policy issues that we have to create is around a commutation committee and commitment to get, like my father been in prison over 40 years. Do I want him? Absolutely want him home. But, you know, from a personal standpoint, but I know there's other men, he'll tell you, like, so how do we not only just get my father out, get other fathers or other men out, but also on the flip side, get them out to do what? What are they coming home to? That's a question that we have to.
Freedom. Away from prison.
It's more of a rhetorical question.
But, I mean, I get what you're saying, but even if we don't have the infrastructure in place for, say, your father, like we can't give him a job day one, he has to go through some of the struggles.
Why we can't get him a job day one?
I'm not saying we can't.
But that's the only thing I was getting to.
Okay.
I mean, I'm saying like we're playing chess. I mean, checkers. We're not playing chess. Okay. We're not really maneuvering and getting like you cut me a check, but you ain't cutting a check for the population. You help me out. That's what I'm saying. Like thinking big terms. Like I don't know how Lansing is. Like in Detroit, there's a lot of vacant ass properties. We got a lot of them. You know, we buying some of these properties. We fixing these motherfuckers up so they got a place to live. I mean, I'm just like we had to name these things too. Yeah. But also to take in consideration, my father, he's smart as a bat, but he's been gone 40 years. There's a lot of socialization that has to happen. I mean, like I just tell this joke. Show enough, right? Shabazz.
Oh yeah,
Shabazz. Show enough. So it's about 15. About 12 years ago, right? Okay. His cousin like, man, let's go out. So I go out with him and his cousins. We had some club on the east side, some on the east side, right? So I'm at the bar. Standing on this motherfucker like I'm on security. And so those cousins, female, like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? Like, he all right, man. He just got out. He just came home. My back against the wall. I'm looking.
And I'm watching everything. I'm watching eyes and hands. Eyes and hands.
It took a minute.
Yes, sir.
And I still like.
I was just gonna say I ain't let it go.
Yeah, I'm still at the back. My back to the wall.
Hands, I gotta make sure I can see the exit.
You know what I'm saying? I go out and like okay. I need to sit on that side.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We getting short on time, man, so I ain't gonna drag it too much, but I do have a couple quick questions that I think are relevant that need to be asked. So one of them is, what barriers, internal or external, are preventing system-impacted people from shaping direction at the highest level?
Can you do external? I mean, external or do internal?
Sure. I think listen, the funders, I think we need more of us in funding space. I think, and that's not to cast any negative aspersion against funders. I just, again, how you relate to a population is often how close in proximity you are to them. And so we need more of us in funding space. We need more of us in elected office.
I said, cut his eyes at me, man.
I didn't cut your brother. Don't feel brother. We need more of us in elected office.
It's my campaign, man. You campaigning?
I am not campaigning for anything. And also externally, and maybe the caucus will serve to be or some other. We need externally. We need a space where we can speak to one another honestly.
So I agree. You know?
Yeah.
I agree with all of that. Internally, piggyback on the last thing, speaking honestly, I think that is what's missing more than anything. Again, I've said it multiple times. When you think about when we're inside, there was always that one person that you can go to when something went wrong or whatever, and like, hey, let's just walk the back 40 with me, and that's what you did. And that relationship, that bond, that vulnerability, that ability to just not be Mike X or Yusef X or whatever, more just be the human being, and you think how the relief that came out of it, and to keep you on that track, right? I think that's been the most internal struggle that we've had, because we've come home and we're hit the ground running because we feel the pressure to be a father, to get a job, to not continue to be proven I'm not my past, and whatnot, and we become the story. In all honesty, I celebrate the person who just come home just doing their thing, because they're more freer than us, because they have nothing left, even though they're trapped themselves, but they haven't allowed themselves to be trapped in the way that we voluntarily allowed ourselves to be, because we operate differently. But all that's necessary, and I think if we can, to your point you made earlier, Mike, that's what's going to produce what we need, because there's richness in all of those experiences to be able to shape the internal, because we all face it.
Yes, sir.
In some form or some fashion, but until we confront it collectively in a way that makes us whole, and even we still have the bullshitters. They ain't going nowhere. Some of us just so slick, we wouldn't know what to do if we wasn't slick, right? But we need a container. We need a container from the motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got a homeboy. He talks so fast, man. I be
Oh
like,
my God.
I just shake my head.
Yeah.
And it's cool, but when you have no leadership structure, same thing like growing up, when you have no parents and the kids trying to be parents, it's chaos.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's what our population is from an internal standpoint.
What do organizations need to do differently in 2026 to avoid reproducing the same systems they're trying to dismantle?
Ooh, that's a heavy question. Ooh. I think, again, they have to look at themselves, look at their DNA. So like the abolitionists are so strong on trying to be an abolitionist that they so far from being an abolitionist. The reformers are so strong being reformers that they are just fucking up shit, right? And I'm not a former type motherfucker, but I get it now, and I understand. My brother have helped me understand it more, right? And the abolitionists, like, I get both sides, and there's some other factors as well. But until we really know who we are, and ultimately, because we constantly trying to pose these, like the abolitionists trying to pose ideas on the abolition or everyday people, and they don't know what the fuck abolition it is. When a crime go down, they gonna call the police, because we have not replaced or given them our alternative. Right. That's about the work, and so until the organization are able to design plans, that programs that really impact people, and when people are taking ownership, because the organizations are created to serve people, not people serving organizations.
Yes, sir. You want to add to that?
No.
All right. And then last question.
Absolutely not.
If you could name one priority that the movement must center in 2026 to stay aligned with its values and long-term goals, what would it be and why?
Tony.
That's you. In 2026
and beyond.
2020. Yeah, I was just gonna say in
2026
2026 and beyond.
Good brother.
What priority must be centered?
So, I think we have to center ourselves, if that makes sense.
It does.
And we've had this conversation, I guess. We have to center ourselves in all of these spaces, even when it's, somewhat uncomfortable, or even we feel like we might be stretched too far. But at the end of the day, while Dr. Shakur talked about Nation Outside, what I loved about us when we were really doing us
Just cut you off for a second. There's different versions. So what
Yep.
version?
Yep. When we were really,
We definitely gonna have to have that nation outside
when we were
conversation.
really, it was for us, by us, with us, and we was like on that like at 24/7. I would love to see some, and I don't know how we get back to that as a movement, but it was for us, by us, with us, and we was willing to take on all the nonprofit space about us, like, and how you treat us and how you speak to us, how you refer to us, like all the things. So I think centering us in 2026 and forward, I think it's going to be important. Center ourselves to the extent we can, I guess.
Well, thank you, brother, for the opportunity, man. This been fun.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all, brother, for taking the time.
We're gonna do this again.
Yes, sir. For sure, we got to do
Just
this
like
again.
just me and the brother.
Especially that Nation Outside conversation, we're gonna have that. So stay tuned for that.
I don't know.
I don't know who I'm gonna have come
Yeah,
be a part of it, but we're gonna have that conversation. With that said, man, I appreciate y'all brothers for coming and spending the time with me, had this conversation. I believe it's a important and relevant conversation. That being said, y'all know what time it is. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Free to real.